positive, people, as we always do on a Monday. Positive.
Come on. Let's be positive.
Let's be that.
Just stop right there. No negativity. Let's be positive. LBP. Let's be positive.
All the way from Twizel, I understand it's a little cold down that part of the world today. Matt Gunn joins us again, and hopefully you've gone to the doctor and got some good news, which means you're behind the wheel of the car, which means you can escape from home after months. I've been just trapped there by your wife.
I can escape from home. I'm not dependent on the wife to drive me around. That being said, Dr. Gemma today told me that I could drive to town, but I can't take a road trip yet. So I can't escape too far.
Okay.
But I'm not stuck here at home when Tracy goes to golf or they decide to go away for a couple of days or whatever else. So I am actually able to get up and down. I just apologise to Lachlan. He texted me last week about appearing with Telf. I saw it. I put my phone down. I forgot about it, which is happening a bit to me, and so I wasn't available. But I appreciated the call in hindsight. I didn't even think about it again until you asked me yesterday if I'd spoken to Telf. I thought, that was last Monday.
Oh, my God. How old are you again? You've just turned 50, mate.
Yeah, 50 going on 70, mate. But, thanks for asking. I'm feeling a lot better, moving around a bit better. Still no 100-metre running race.
Yeah.
Still not moving too quickly. But, no, we're up and about and we're getting better. Okay. We're getting better down here, which is good. Now I've got the keys to the city.
There you go. You can get into Twizel and you can go and look at that information thing where they put the porn on in the middle of the square and that, and you can sit there and razz the council in your column about the fact that they should have fixed it 10 years ago.
Definitely on the agenda.
Okay.
Definitely on the agenda.
Are the Warriors getting stuffed by the referees, mate? And do you agree with Jason Paris speaking out like he did on his Twitter?
Well, I think good on him. I think that there is a huge amount of frustration. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think it's just the Warriors fans. I think there's a number of other clubs. Bulldogs fans probably feel the same way. I know there's a few Parramatta fans feel the same way. I thought yesterday when you texted me about it, and over the weekend after the game, is it going a bit far or not? And then I I started to think about it, and I think that there could be an unconscious bias. Now, I don't buy into a conspiracy. I don't think that anyone needs to jump on the Vodafone, the 1NZ guys' suggestion that referees are taking money. But I do think that sometimes clubs with momentum do seem to get the rub of the green. And there definitely were a few calls during the Warriors-Penrith game on the weekend that maybe it's hard to say they didn't alter the result because they certainly alter the momentum. And certainly when you're getting guys sent off and you lose a player for 10 minutes at the speed and the intensity that the game is being played, that you can feel a bit ripped off. You know how I feel about send-offs anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And two in a game, it's just too long in today's NRL.
Yeah, for 12 to play 13,
really,
isn't it? Yeah. Especially against a quality side,
just to maintain.
Look, I mean, I'd like, I hope what happens at the end of Jason Paris's comments, because it's from a guy like him. If that was you or me, if that was the Warrior-holic, if that was anyone who's just a Warriors fan or a Parramatta fan or anything like that, if that was Andy Raymond Unfiltered, it just doesn't reach the heights that it needs to. When it's a guy that is the CEO of the major sponsor, I mean, straight away you get the CEO of the NRL making comments going, well, he can't say that, what are we going to do, kind of thing. All of a sudden it elevates it to a level which hopefully means to me that somebody can sit there in a studio and actually go through and actually get some kind of statistical analysis on this, because I'm with you. I don't believe it's a stitch-up at all, but I do think that in all sports all over the world, Lachlan brought up before, Steph Curry travels with the ball. James Harden has travelled his whole career. These guys don't get pinged, but if it was you dropping back for a hit 3 Bobby Jack, you would get pinged. And I just wonder whether or not it's more of that case, that if you're a Storm or you're a Penrith or you're a Roosters side, then refs are ingrained that those sides. To me, Matt, to me, it's like the Crusaders are playing Moana Pacifica. There's hands in a ruck somewhere. The referee's probably, his natural instinct is going to be, that's MP doing that because the Crusaders players wouldn't, because they're the champions. That's where I think a lot of this comes from.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point of view, is that the better sides probably foul less than the weaker sides. I mean, maybe that is what it is. I think the real result from this would be if they actually did, they being the NRL, did sit down and say, righto, here we have one of the major sponsors of one of our teams who really, they're just outside they could be a semi-final team. They do deserve a fair crack. If they sit down, actually look at it, break it down properly. I don't know who they need to get in to do that. I don't think they should review themselves as such, but I know it's not just the fans. If you watch any of the NRL panel shows out of Australia, they are talking about this as well.
Yes, they are.
It's the inconsistency. It's the inconsistency of certainly high tackles, tackle up around the neck or the head, and this hip toss thing seems to be an absolute lottery. Now, that's another discussion I saw over the weekend. It's about this hip toss, and Freddie Fittler particularly and Andrew Johns were talking about this, saying that they believe this is being coached. This is a move that is actually, it's not just ended up in the game.
No, of course it
hasn't. It's been introduced to the game by the way they're doing wrestling. And you can see why they want to cut it out. There's huge potential for injury for it. But even though they've decided to target it, it's inconsistent the way they do. And not only that, is that blokes have been sent for it, which makes it an even bigger impingement on the game. So they do have a responsibility to the clubs, the sponsors, the fans and the players to actually look at what's been said and say, righto, is there any credence to this? How can we improve it? With the pace of the game and the way things move and the intensity in some of the hits that were coming out of that game on the weekend just goes to show the quality of the sport and where it's at. We all deserve probably more consistency, and the good news is as much as the Warriors are now, 5-5, 2 points away from being a top 4 side, 2 or 3 in a row, and they'll be entrenched back in the top 8. They just need to continue to play the way they are. Look at their points differential. I think they're about -18.
Yeah, not bad.
They're one of the best. There's probably the best points differential outside the 8. They're not letting points in. They do have the potential to play. They've got to take a few more opportunities than they did the other day. And a few of Sean Johnson's kicks were a little bit silly, and understandably, maybe he was feeling under pressure or the intensity of the game. But the Warriors didn't do themselves too many favours, and probably with a couple of better time passes would have scored another couple of tries over the weekend as well. But they're still in it. There's no need to be despondent. But I tell you what, you wouldn't want to go into the semi-finals with that kind of indecisive refereeing or inconclusive in terms of an overall view across the weekend.
You're exactly right, mate. -18 the points differential. The Roosters are on -21. They're the 8th spot, but outside of that top 8, they got the best. Wayne, and also just on that, the grapple tackle, the chicken wing, the shirt collar, all of these came from the Antichrist Melbourne Storm, mate. They all practiced them. They all found different ways of trying to twist your head, your arm, your neck, your elbow, and all of that. I'm totally with you. It is absolutely been practiced, contrived, manufactured, is that hip drop thing.
I turned off for the first time in my life at halftime, and I went to watch a program on the Lions and Serengeti.
Look, Wayne Smith, when he says this kind of stuff, that rugby is tediously boring, if the powers that be can't look at that and take it in the context of what it said on an official All Blacks podcast, Matt, he's not just saying it off the cuff here, he's saying it on an NZR-sanctioned media release podcast, okay? What he's saying is what every one of us have been saying for months, if not years. The game is sterile. There's something wrong with it. It's not as exciting to watch as it bloody well should be.
And the other thing about Wayne Smith saying it is, he's thought about this for a while, and he's considered the comment, and he's placed it at a time where he thinks someone might hear it, because he's not the kind of bloke that's ever really spoken out of turn or said the wrong thing.
No.
And I was a little bit amazed. He's gone and watched a documentary on lions on the Serengeti. I had to have a giggle when I read that, because that is more entertaining at the moment, isn't it? Seeing a lion chase down a gazelle. Look, I don't know. We keep talking about this. I'm not sure what the answer is, but if a man like that is bored of his own game, a game that he has led, a game that he has played, and a game that he has led, and a game that he has had some of the most exciting teams in the world play, you've got a massive problem. If this guy can't even watch your product, Who is going to watch? And on that note, 5 competitive teams in this current Super Rugby Pacific competition, 7 rubbish teams.
Well, 7 average teams. They're not all rubbish. I'll actually correct you. There's 7 average teams, okay? There's 5 teams. Those 5 teams could have a competition by themselves and maybe, play off one of those teams gets into a 6. The top team out of the other 7 gets into a 6, and there's your 6. Half the teams make the final. Maybe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is...
The Waratahs down. The Waratahs are 11 points out of 5th.
Yeah, right.
Okay? 4 rounds to go. There's not much of any interest that could take place. You might have a 6th team change places. All right, big deal. Anyone that finishes 6th, and I know, is not going to be competitive
that's right.
at the other end of the season anyway. So it doesn't matter what happens there. So here is the situation. 4 more rounds to go. And nothing of much interest. Why would you even want to play your top players over the next 4 weeks knowing what's coming up? That's the problem. And when you consider where the Warriors are, they're 2 points away from being in 3rd place, and much of the competition is only 2 points away. The quality across the board in NRL at the moment, it is eating up Super Rugby, and they need to change the balance. It's the only thing that can happen. They have to contrive it a little bit and split some of the talent. Because at the moment,
it's the easiest thing to do.
This can't go. This can't go on year after year.
No, it can't, because it's dropping. It's losing interest. I mean, this is the thing. They talk about an explosion of women's rugby. There is a decreasing audience in the sport, which is our national game here, at all levels. The All Blacks, when the All Blacks sell out, it's a national news item these days. The All Blacks used to queue for miles for tickets and stay overnight in the rain. All right, one more topic before we go.
Well, the other thing, Martin, is they lost $51 million.
Yeah.
$51 million they lost. 20 million of that was from the women's game.
Yeah. Well, that's investment.
So Matt. 31 million's from the men's game. So the same questions are being held.
That's investment. Okay. It's called investment. It's the only investment in the world where you don't expect a return on investment. That's the crazy thing about that investment.
Well, that's the truth of it too, but I mean, it's still a big loss, isn't it?
Liverpool for the top 4. Tell it, say it right now, your top 4. We're choking it and bottling it. It's yours. We don't want it.
Well, you seem to be wanting to hand us the Champions League spot. We'd love to take it. We'd love to take it. Do we deserve it? Well, we're right there, Martin. There's nothing in the couple of teams there. We might switch positions. We've got an easy game coming up this week. Yours probably, for Liverpool it'll be an easy game, but maybe for Man U. For Man U, it's a tough game. Look, we want 4th position. We deserve 4th. But the reality is, again, we're all miles away from 1st and 2nd, aren't we? Man City and the Arcs are 7 and 8 wins ahead of us. I mean, we're no show, really. But we'll take 4th and we'll celebrate 4th like the Warriors will celebrate 4th when they win 3 in a row.
Thank you so much for that. That is Let's Be Positive. That is Matt Gunn out of Twizel, ladies and gentlemen.
Devlin.